I'm a hitman, and I have a contract to kill someone who won't die. I asked the question I always ask first. Describe him. Raphael smiled like a man who'd spent his life making other people pay. Darius Cole, tall, lean, scar through the left brow, walks like he's late to everything. He slid a paper photo across the desk, grainy, one flash of streetlight catching a face. He took a Lambo, thinks he can hide. Make it quiet. Marcellus stood in the doorway, suit clean, hands steady. He poured the liquor without wasting motion, nodded where needed, and handled the payment details. He wasn't a man who explained himself, and that was fine by me. We traded names and numbers, shook hands, and went about our work. If Marcellus had been a shadow with claws, I wouldn't have suspected a thing. He was polite, punctual, my kind of professional. The first time I saw Darius, he had the look of someone who'd been sleeping poorly for weeks. Hunched shoulders, that scar catching the light. I put the scope on him from 70 yards, exhaled slow, pulled the trigger. The 45 hit him where it should have. He folded like a sack. But when I crossed the asphalt to check the body, something lodged under my stomach. A wrongness I'd felt before on bad jobs. His eyes were open, glassy, and there was no wet around the wound. The blood that should have soaked the concrete had not. The skin was disturbingly cool, the color of someone who'd been kept too long in a morgue cooler. No spasm, no gulping breath. He lay like an empty coat thrown on a bench. I left without looking back. Next morning, a man from Raphael's crew was found in the trunk of a sedan, his throat slit and a scrap of fabric stuffed into his mouth. People on the block said Darius had been seen walking near the scene. That made the job impossible by the rules I know. Whatever I shot hadn't stayed dead. Marcellus called me and sounded like a man delivering bad inventory. Probably a mistaken ID, he said. People see what they want to see. He offered whiskey. I took it. He offered a ride if I wanted to check the docks later. I went alone. I brought a different kind of answer the second time. An arrow tipped with a slow, cruel poison that leaves no marks a coroner likes to write about. I caught him between a shuttered muffler shop and a chain-link fence. The arrow found throat and lodged there with the soft, awful sound of wood meeting skin. He touched it with one finger, no wince, no frantic clutching, then smiled like a man pausing in a doorway. The wound had no bloom to it. There was no wetness. His hand came away clean. He walked off, not running, not staggering, just walking. The arrow still in his throat like an accessory. The movement had no urgency, no panic, just a relentless calm. He looked at me once as he passed into a fog of steam from a busted heater, and the face that looked back was not full of pain. It was empty. That was the first time I felt the word "not alive" settle into the pit of my gut. By the third mistake, I stopped thinking in metaphors. He led me across half the city that night, through alleys thick with the stink of old oil and neon that bled into the rain. He didn't avoid puddles. He didn't hurry. He moved with the economy of a thing that had been given a job and found the route efficient. St. Augustine Cemetery smelled like dust and smoke. He walked straight to a bare patch near an old stone cross and stood inside a ring someone had scratched into the dirt with a stick. Symbols that belonged more to rumor than to any logic I'd learned. He froze in the center, then sank to his knees. He snored, soft, regular, human-sounding, and wholly wrong, coming from a man who had been shot and stabbed and left for proof. I crept forward with a blade because the hell of it had turned into business. The next thing I remember is black. A slam across the back of the head, throwing me like a sack. I woke to rough rope biting the meat of my wrists and my throat dry with the taste of metal. The world was awash of torchlight and peat smell. Darius stood to my left, gray, hollowed, eyes fixed, and Martellus was near the car with his hands in his pockets, as unbothered as a man counting change. "You're lucky," Martellus said, and when he spoke, nothing in his voice sounded like a lie. "You get to walk away." I pressed against the ropes and the knots held. He hadn't untied me. He never untied me. Instead, he sat on a stone and told the story while I tasted grit and listened through the blindfold of rope. "Raphael killed him," Marcellus said simply. "Ripped him out of the night for a car he thought would make him untouchable. He buried him and cleaned the books." He didn't lower his voice when he said buried. There was no performance, no showmanship, just facts, like the sort a man reads from a ledger. "And after?" I rasped. Marcellus smiled the smile of someone offering the last bill of a debt. "We performed what we had to. I called on the old things that remember iron. I asked for a balance, no life returned, not really. Returned as something between. He walks. He collects." He drew a slow breath. "I called on Ogun," he said, "the god of iron, of tools, of war and justice. I prayed with blood and rum, with filings from the machines your world is built on. Ogun hears such things. He gave Darius back to me, not breathing, not alive, but righteous, the spirit of iron in flesh, walking until the debt is paid." He leaned close enough for me to smell the palm oil on his hands. "You can't kill what serves a god of iron," he whispered. "You can only get out of its way." They took me, still knotted and bound, placed me in the belly of a freight car and sent me away. The train moved like a slow, grinding verdict. The ropes rubbed my wrists to rawness where the knots bit. They never untied me. Marcellus never set a knife against the bonds. He never pretended to. That was part of the mercy he offered. I would leave with the memory bound tight and the knowledge that I'd been told the truth while still bound. When the train finally stopped and coughed me out near an industrial siding, I gathered what pride I had left and made myself free the only way the city teaches men who have nothing but teeth and stubbornness. I gnawed at the fibers until they frayed and slipped. My jaw screamed, but I moved like a man with a deadline. I didn't tell the story of how I freed myself. That's the sort of shame a lot of men tuck under their belt like a tool. Back in the city, I did the sort of research that used to be beneath me. I walked precincts. I stared at mugshots. I paid cash for security footage and watched it until the footage blurred into a smear. The ledger unfolded like a map. Raphael found dead in his own shop, hands fastened to the hood of that Lambo, Nails through the palms, chest caved in, heart missing. Reports called it ritual. The coroner's notes were printed neat in the packet I read in a dim diner, but the words didn't make the wrongness go away. They only made the shape sharp. Men in Raphael's crew turned up with holes in their stories, or not at all. There was no Darius Cole in the living records after that. No traffic stops, no bounced checks, just an erratic trail of sightings that never matched the rules of life. I pulled witness statements, old complaints filed at the garage where Darius used to run runs, and a name that got whispered when people thought nobody listened: Marcellus. I thought about the body I'd seen at the gas station, the dryness around the 45, the arrow that never bled, the way he walked like a man punched into a suit that fit the dead. He wasn't alive. That word stuck in my mouth like a bad metal. He also wasn't a man anymore, not in any official way. He was a function of some account I didn't have access to. I slept poorly for nights, and when I did, the city pressed on around me like a thing with a heartbeat. I never saw Darius come for me again. I never woke to the sound of his footsteps in the hallway. What I did have was the knowledge that Raphael had been murdered, and that the murder had the geometry of ritual carved into it. I had the memory of Marcellus telling me to walk away, while the rope bit my skin. I had the taste of the freight car, and the feeling that a different kind of ledger had been closed. I sold my weapon a month later for cash I put in an envelope and burned. Not for remorse. Remorse is for men who have criteria for killing. This was something else. Fear, maybe. Or the understanding that I'd been working for a number on paper, and the paper had turned out to be a deed. When I think of Darius now, I don't think of menace or haunting. I think of certain qualities that living men hate to accept. That you can be struck down by the rules you think you know, and that some debts are collected by hands that do not require blood to balance an account. I think, too, of Marcellus, polite, efficient, and careful, never to untie me. If anyone ever asks whether the man I was sent to kill was alive enough to die, I'll tell them the truth plainly. With every shot, with every arrow, with every bared blade, he failed the part where a living thing bleeds. That's what stayed with me. Not pens and prayers, not drums in the night, but the cold, surgical fact of a body that did not obey the rules. Raphael is dead. His shop is quiet. The city keeps its bargains. And me? I walk the same streets, keep the same hours, and pretend I'm a simple man with a simple ledger. But I eat my food and sleep my sleep with a small knowledge that some debts don't show up on your bank statement. They show up in who comes back to walk the streets after you think you've closed the account.